Ge Holla, G dot holla.
Shout out to Ge Holla.
To Ge Holla.
Ge Holla.
Ge Holla.
Ge Holla.
Ge Holla. Oh my God, Ge Holla.
Boy, Ge Holla.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, all my global citizens of the world, man. You know, sometimes in life, you run across, the creme of the la creme, you know what I'm saying, the people in society who care about you from their heart, from their soul, from their mind. Those type of people need to be elevated and raised up to the level that they deserve to be on. You know, in society, man, we have so much as Black and brown and melanated people that we are fighting against, so many challenges, so many issues. But then comes along a savior, if you will, a Moses, if you will. Just because, the Bible stopped writing about prophets, it does not mean that God, prophet people are still down here doing the work and the will of the Most High, of the supreme source, of the creator, Allah, Ra, whatever you refer to it as, it's still turning out the wonderful vessels of light, wonderful salts of the world, man, that's here to prevent and to help and to illuminate our minds with what's justice, what's real, what's tangible, what we need, what we inside our bodies and souls keep going on, even during these troubling times and the days that we're in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a vessel of the divine, Sir Richard Brown, to the show. How you doing, young man? What's going on with you?
Hey, listen, I am Richard Lewis Brown, the Local 1000 president. Today is March the 7th, 2022. Sir, I want to thank you for having me come on. I really appreciate that.
Hey, man, it's my honor, man. I'm Ge Holla, and this is my celebrity life. We're going to talk about some wisdom and some knowledge. But before we get there, man, we always got to get our superheroes' origin story. And you our comic book right now. Take us back, Sir Richard Brown. Where you from originally?
I am from the state of Missouri, the Show Me State, the central most located state in America. As you know, for historical purposes, the last state to enter the Union as a slave state. And so we have that remarkable history. We're the gateway to the West. When you're seeking success, you're seeking to start your life over, you're seeking riches. It started from Missouri and then went to the West. And anybody who has a great deal of knowledge will know that Mr. Austin and his family went to Texas. And therefore, your capital of Texas is called Austin. And from Texas, you went all the way out west. That's your history, a quick history lesson for people.
That's right. And also, let's add in some more history lessons about Black and brown and the greatness of things that we created out here too as well. The original cowboy is the cowboy. Is the you know what I'm saying? They wrestled the cows. Right. So go get the cowboy. And big shout out to Bass Reed, who is the real Lone Ranger that they were showing in that depiction back in the day too as well. So salute to more Black and brown people out here.
And you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up about the first Black cowboy, because a lot of people think that I'm the first real labor leader for Local 1000, the largest public sector union here in the state of California. And it's funny because some people have told me that, Richard, you must be the Lone Ranger. Sometimes I feel that way.
Look at God, as they say in the Deep South. Look at God. You see what I'm saying? That DNA ain't doing nothing more than regenerating on the planet from days of the ancient past where we built all these wonderful things. Even in America, a lot of us are fooled because we think that everybody Black and brown and colored copper and melanated that's here, even in California, was brought over through slavery. And it's so not true. A lot of us been here. You know what I'm talking about. You got those Choctaws, those Chickasaws, those Black Cherokees, those Black Seminoles. Come on, we know. Even the word California. Come on now, San Angeles, Las Vegas. Come on, Los Angeles. Come on, man. We've been here.
You know what? Here's what I do know. This country has an interesting history, and the union I belong to, that I proudly belong to, Local 1000, we have an interesting history. And some people say we have some deep character flaws in our country. But who am I to judge? Because I know in the union I belong to, we have some deep character flaws. And even though I'm the second African-American to be the leader of this union, but the first Black man, it is remarkable to say that even when we have problems, we can still, with a positive mindset, with our belief in a higher power, be able to come together and get through things.
Yes, yes. Mr. Brown, in your traveling along your journey in life, I see that you learned that there's only one way to really truly be of one organization, one essence. Like when we say United States of America, a lot of people forget
Yes,
that.
yes,
And I know Texas for a long time, they were the only state that had the right to really succeed from the Union.
yes.
But succeeding from something that is operational, that is successful, that is vibrant, because all of us collectively come together and make up the United States of America. How important is it to have unity in your organization and in the United States of America?
I think it runs hand in hand. In my personal opinion, unions created the middle class in this great country. And so in order to create a union, people must work together. They must be unified. And so I know a lot of people think right now, the union I belong to, Local 1000, we're in a power struggle. We're having internal squabbles. But the squabbles you have, that does help unify. And if we all thought the same way, and we all dressed the same way, then there would be really no success in coming together to unify. And if we look at our great country, originally we started with 13 colonies and it expanded. And that's why I talk about Mr. Austin coming from Missouri with his family and going to Texas. And eventually Texas fought Mexico for independence, which many people think with Local 1000, we've been too dependent on politicians. And so if my election victory shows that people can come together to vote of different political parties, different job occupations, our union represents over 730 different job occupations. And so we came together in this election and they voted me in, the people, the members, their money, because they're dues paying members, they voted me in. And I am doing everything I can to unify our union. But oftentimes when you're trying to unify, which is remarkable because our union could be a smaller symbol of America. When the Americans first came over, the European settlers, yes, they encountered Native Americans who were already here. You don't hear about the Black Native Americans, but they were already here. And yes, they may have broken some treaties. And yes, there was the issue of taxation and slavery. And so initially when they came, they had to have a revolution. And then after the revolution, it became, they said civil, but there was a civil war. And so Local 1000 right now, we're no different than this great country. Boy, praise God. The revolution was me being elected on the third shot, just like President Biden on the third shot made it to the White House. But the Civil War, and remember now, in the Civil War in America, they said they lost more lives in that Civil War than I believe any other part of American history over the issue of money, free labor. And so right now, our union, under my leadership, we're in a civil war. And it's unfortunate, and people say, well, will there be casualties? Nothing as far as losing someone's life, but will there be casualties as far as people's hearts being saddened by all the evilness they see going on? Yes. Will it be massive? Yes. Can we prevent some of this damage of people quitting the union because they say that their voices doesn't matter when they voted? Yes, we can prevent this. And we can unify Local 1000. The way this country came together, regardless of the treatment of Native Americans that still goes on to this day, regardless of the plight of African Americans, those whose families came from Africa as enslaved Africans, that's my family. Regardless of all the land embezzlement that the Latinos went through in the Southwest, and did the money, the 35 million, really reach the Mexican government? Regardless of all that and all the sexism that women in this country, along with the gay community in this country, has gone through, we are still the United States of America. And I can say this with pride and dignity. Local 1000, we can still come together regardless of our problems and still make it through and still bargain for a great contract when our current contract expires on June 30th, 2023, and get a 20% pay increase for everyone equally so they can inspire the impossible. Because I am Local 1000, and together we are Local 1000.
Very well said. I like how you broke it all down. I also want to salute you and thank you for your service, man. We're talking about a young man that, at the beginning of his life, joined into those services, and you didn't know where life would have taken you, but you were bold, you was courageous, you were strong, and you believed in this country. Therefore, you went to put your life on the line,
right?
To spend 10 years in the U.S. Air Force, is a major accomplishment.
Well, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Then after 1996, you served 3 more. Whoa, in the reserves. So you couldn't get enough from serving this country. I see why you in the position you in. You out to serve, brother, because you ain't let it go. Some brothers get out of there in a few years.
You know what?
Took 3 more years.
Hey, listen, I'll say this. We think in our natural human minds that we choose our destiny, but I've always disagreed with that. And I've always said that people's lives are predestined. And that's always gotten me into a lot of hot water with people. So no matter all the great things I may have done, no matter all the wrong things that I may have done, in our rational minds, we feel we have control, but we don't control the spirit world and we don't control God. And so I give all the credit to God through Jesus Christ.
Salute to you, my brother. I noticed that you work for, out in California, you all call it EDD. I think over here in Georgia, we call it the PUA, something similar.
Okay.
What's going on? Because I know these housing costs are really rising in California, and I'm in Georgia and Atlanta. So in Atlanta, they're going up too, as well as every other place, along with gentrification, things of that nature. Give us some knowledge about all of that. What can we do to help save our own neighborhoods and create some generational wealth?
Well, if you're going to create some generational wealth, I would probably say first, believe in a higher power. Second, I would say, yes, you must believe in a higher power, in my personal opinion. I would think it would help you to go to college or to a trade school. But as the Local 1000 president, I will quickly tell anyone, do you belong to a job, or do you have the ability to join a union where you can get a guaranteed contract with substantial pay increases, workplace respect, and most importantly, I don't say most importantly, but for the long-term success of you and your family, for generational wealth, that pension that unions are known for. That is why joining a union and being active in a union is so vitally important. Because if you're going to create generational wealth, you must, quote, create a substantial income, a long-term cash flow. That's what I would say.
I love how you said more than 20 years ago, you made a promise to your mother that you would fight for those who need justice and respect.
Yes. Yes. And my mother was born with a mental illness called schizophrenia. And so her whole life, besides the fact that she was a Black woman, she had to deal with this illness on a daily basis. And so I would see the things that she went through and how people treated her because of her mental illness. And I said, if I'm ever in a position, I said, God, don't ever put me in a position where I can really help people financially and I can really fight for people in their dignity. Because if you do, God, I will do it. Yes.
I like that. For the people that's out there that's suffering in California, in Missouri, all throughout the country, mental illnesses, I know it's in certain places that certain facilities have been closed down. They've been closed down for a while. And you have a lot of homeless people who are out there, with those issues. How do we help the community with those type of individuals who are not on social media and Facebook and the internet? What can we do? How can we do our part in that?
You know what? I am not an expert in that field. I know people oftentimes give money to charities, that they give money that their churches take up for tithes to help the homeless. I think, we have to exercise our ability to vote, our right to vote, to ensure the politicians that we put in office, that they address these issues and not just give us lip service. So I think that's a good start. But like I said, I'm not an expert in this field.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
All
For the
right.
people who are apprehensive about joining unions, because I know everything is a pro and a con in the individual person's mind based upon their previous experiences. What are some pluses that you can give for those people who are on the fence about being associated, joining, and starting with unions? Because there's certain customer service jobs, I'm not going to say the names of them,
Right.
but they are built upon, oh, we don't have a union because we have an open door policy. Well, that might have some truth in it, but if your open door policy is two managers are friends, and if I go to them about one manager, they're not going to side with me because that's their friend. So can you
Right.
give us some understanding about unions?
You know, in today's society, the perception of unions are that they're corrupt, they're intrusive, they're all political. And unfortunately, some of that is true. But I would tell anyone, any organization, whether it's a union, whether it's a work agency, a Fortune 500 company, even the church, you're going to have some bad apples in every organization. And you don't want to let the bad apples destroy the organization. It's no different than you don't want some bad apples from the community who may do some things wrong and find themselves on TV looking in an unprofessional manner. That does not represent the entire community, if you know what I'm saying. So sometimes people have this feeling that they don't want to be part of a union when they sometimes don't give enough credit to the fact that your lunch breaks, your rest breaks, the pensions, vacation, overtime, and the list goes on and on and on. That was established because of unions. But the media, along with other agencies and other entities, have done a great sales job over the years to convince people that unions are no longer needed. That's an absolute lie. Don't ever feel like you get so comfortable that you don't need protection. And that union is your protection to ensure that you should get a substantial pay increase for a period of time in a safe working environment, absent from a bad behaving, egotistical, self-serving supervisor or boss. That's the importance of having unions. And sometimes you have to take that risk. And so when people say, well, I'm a little afraid to join the union, you can't live your life in fear.
That's right. I agree. Yeah, and speaking of news media, because I'm a person of, if there's one side of something, there has to be another side with a response. Because I'm looking at some of these news articles, and the way that they're titling things is, you know how the news does. They do it for attention. They're saying like, state worker union moves to suspend controversial president. What, in your opinion, what makes you controversial to them? Why would they speak about controversial?
So, there's the professional answer and then there's the real answer. I'll try to give you both. The professional answer is I'm fighting for substantial pay increases, a 21% pay increase on our next contract. And I've made it quite clear, we will always bargain in good faith, but should we reach a legal impasse and we do a strike vote and it comes back, yes, we're going to shut down the fourth largest economy on earth. That may be a touch controversial, okay? Just a touch. And then when I say about our dignity won't be controlled by the state of California any longer, we will be able to arbitrate that situation. That may raise eyebrows. But the real reason why I'm so controversial, it started on, what day was it? The 15th of June in 1969. And even though the month of 6, June, plus 15 is 21, you think we get lucky at the casino with that number. In my particular case, the blessing that Jenny was given in 69 was a blessing that many Black mothers are given when they give birth to Black boys.
Yes.
I say Black men because I don't want to disrespect or offend anyone, but I will always be mama's Black boy. So that right there started the controversy. And then the controversy escalated when Richard, myself, decided to serve the country. And then it became a virus when I went to college. And then the virus was uncontrolled, which made it more controversial when I didn't just go to college, I graduated from college. And then they said they couldn't find a cure for the virus, for the controversy, because Richard wouldn't sell out. So now the virus is worse than COVID. It's the worst virus they've ever seen. And the worst virus this country has ever seen is an educated, articulate Black man who refuses to sell out.
Yes.
Let me smile, because I don't want people to say I'm mad and I'm angry. I'm trying to give it to you. I'm doing the best.
You're doing a great job. And what's
Thank
wrong with
you.
being angry? It's a human emotion. What's wrong with being disappointed in this country? What's wrong for fighting? Because, like you said a moment ago, if we look at this United States of America, they were traitors because they went against the crown and started their own revolution. They threw the Boston Tea Party and a host of other events when they were under the leadership of someone else, because they didn't want to be taxed and they didn't feel like they had their own personal individual freedom.
Hey, and I'm glad you said that, because the European settlers, when they first came to America, that was controversial. But they kept going, and they had to fight and have a revolutionary war. And when they realized that their dignity was just as good as the king over in England, they said, he's not our boss. The same thing I say as the Local 1000 president. These politicians, they're not our bosses. We are a partner with them, but they've convinced you that they should control you while you support a union, while you're part of a union, while they take money in their campaigns. So it's the same trick or the same mindset that King George said when the European settlers came over here. You will continue to give me money and I won't give you a voice. And then when the European settlers realized, hey, we have dignity. We don't need the king to tell us what to do over here where we're talking to Native Americans. In fact, we don't even want to be represented by you. And so they broke away. And I think, as the president of Local 1000, I'm smart enough to know when to negotiate and when to break away from someone who's not, doing me or the union any good. And so what I said, there's a deep symbolism between the creation of America and the creation of a real labor union called Local 1000, the largest public sector union here in the state of California.
Eloquently said, and I'm in full agreement. We're still united. It's still Local 1000, even if the ideals of each individual person is different, but the organization in itself still is standing firm upon what it was originally founded upon. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have everybody in this world that agree, then we will all be sheeple and sheep.
And you know what? Oftentimes Black men are called controversial. Even when they try to defend themselves, they're called controversial. Oftentimes they're called clowns or boys. The angry term is always mentioned, but yet
thugs,
thugs, undesirables. Well, we don't get that undesirable. That's too professional. But when the Europeans came over first, after the Americans were already here, make sure I get that clear. They were called controversial. They were called, those individuals who don't fit in the higher rings of society in England. And so when they came over here, they were looked down upon until that money was exhibited. And when the king realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a cash cow, I'll give you some votes. They were like, you know what, we don't want the vote. We'll keep our money and our vote, and we'll create our own system. And we're not going to be dependent on you. We don't need to be your franchisee and you be the franchisor. We don't need that. And, when I was elected and I said some strong things in my brochure, now my enemies are coming
Mm.
And they're working together to try to remove me from office.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate because, like I said, I did an interview this morning. If I was just articulating for Black men and women and they were coming for me, that I'm an Americanized African.
Mm-hmm.
I've been conditioned to accept the abuse America puts on me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been conditioned. But what I'm not conditioned to accept is when I'm fighting for Black people, white people, Asians, Latinos, those from Europe, those from Africa, all over the world that compose our represented employees of Local 1000, just under 100,000. All those different types of people, ethnicities, languages, job occupations, over 730 of them, over 2,000 work sites. When I'm fighting for all of those people put together and you're trying to destroy me, can't accept that. I will not accept it.
Yeah, and what you're going through right now is the same thing they did before 1776. You're recognizing it as a coup. They're trying to come in and install, this is what America does best.
Yes.
Their leadership, their government, all of the same people they went after, Saddam, Bin Laden, Gaddafi. You trained all of those people and put them in place. They just weren't going for your agenda no more, and they became the enemy of the state.
And, someone brought this to my attention this morning. They said, Richard, by them trying to illegally suspend you because of the hatred they have for your passion to help people, they're trying to disenfranchise over 50-some thousand dues-paying members who have the option to vote if they choose to take it. But someone else had said, well, if the union is nearly 100,000, why can't everybody vote? And this is where you find out about someone's sincerity. And I said, everyone should be able to vote in our union whether they pay money or not. And they said, that is the most evil thing you can say, Richard. And I said, no, because I'm a Black man in this country. I don't believe in the poll tax. And they said, well, Richard, you can't go shop at Costco without having a membership. You're right. I can't go shop at Costco without a membership. Here's the trick of politics. They established this system where we could have unions in California, but they said if you recognize an organization as your sole representative, your exclusive representative, then you will be controlled by that entity, whether you pay money or not. And so whether a person pays money to our union or not, if we represent that person, if we represent that person's job classification, that is something we must do, whether they pay money or not. So while them trying to, quote, illegally suspend me and, quote, remove me from office, what they're really saying is we don't believe in voting. We don't believe in recognizing the vote or the will of the people through the voice of their vote. Now, this is funny because normally unions are known to be, quote, full of Democrats, even though some unions may have a large number of Republicans. So sometimes you'll see evilness, regardless of political party, being exhibited. Now, most Black folks in America don't want to hear that because we've been conditioned to say the Democrats are always our hero, our protector. That is not 1,000% true. And I'm not here to advocate for the Republican Party or any other party. What I'm saying is what is right, and what is wrong. Because the vote of our people affects all of us. All of us. And we want people in our country to vote. And when they voted in this last union election, and they voted me in, and for these people to now come, these certain people on our board of directors, not all the board of directors, but some of them, and they want to remove me from office because what I stand for. And I've been very open about my platform, my 10-point platform. I did not lie. But I wasn't supposed to be here. But God said, oh, yes, you are. And so that's why I'm here.
And brother, you're right. We're going to throw a couple facts in there. Martin Luther King Jr. himself was a Republican. And most Black people in America, up until, I believe, around 1960 something,
Yes.
or Republicans. So
Right. That's right. Because of I think President Lyndon Baines Johnson said after the Civil Rights Act, either the first one or the second one, he said, "Well, we just lost the Democratic Party because a lot of the old time Democrats moved into the Republican Party because the Republican Party in its initial founding in the 1800s, they were anti-slavery. So the Republican Party today, they try to use that to attract African Americans or people, people of color by saying we were anti-slavery, we were for what was right back then, but they don't tell you the rest of the story, which is very ironic because that's what the news media does and how they cover me. They'll tell you some of the story. They'll try to portray me as being this evil person, this bad person, when the truth is they're not giving you the whole story. They give you sound bites to get you involved. And then once they get your interest, then they may tell you some of the truth the way they spin it. And what you're going to see is if my story gets told across America, it won't be just about the injustice within a labor union, but it's going to show you once again what we've always known about when Black men who are not, and I say this with the most respect, there's only one perfect brown-skinned Black man, if there's ever one, and his name is called Barack, okay? And he has set that standard of excellence, him and John Lewis, and Thurgood Marshall, and Johnny Cochran, as we call it, our superstar, talented 10 Black men, and don't forget Black women, because there is no Black man without that Black woman bringing them into life. But those are our superstars. But for all the rest of us ordinary Black people, and when I say ordinary Black people, that could be ordinary white people as well, or ordinary anyone else. And this is why people get so excited when they talk about me, because I don't talk from a high perch. I'm not the perfect complexion. I don't have the perfect words. I'm your everyday guy fighting for you. That's what I'm doing. And this is a strong symbol of why God put me here, so that other younger Black men can say, Richard did it. I can do it. When you see Jay-Z, you see a genius. And people don't recognize that about him. A writing genius. Tupac. Some of these rappers were geniuses.
Poets.
But they had never been given their credit. I am not a genius. I'm your everyday guy. And I'm trying to inspire other people who are everyday people to run for office. But let me stop preaching. Let me stop.
Let me say on your behalf, you are a genius. I look at movies that have deeper meanings than just, surface level thinking. Even when you look into something like Star Wars, Luke is looking for the master Jedi, the ultimate master Jedi, but he is not what he is looking for. He's expecting something different to come. This is what you are. You are a master of your own destiny, as you said before. You are a genius in your own way, in your own mannerisms, and your own design that was sent here by whatever creative people floated. Right. You're just like a Moses. You feel what I'm saying? You don't look like what they think you're supposed to look like, but you're designed for what God sent you here for. You were sent here for battle.
Listen, and I deeply appreciate that. Someone said, well, hey, you talked about Tupac, you talked about Jay-Z, but you forgot Biggie and you forgot about my man out west, Dr. Dre. Well, no, I didn't. And I didn't forget about Ice Cube either. But listen, let's remember how many African Americans came to this country and we provided free labor. And this is why this touches me so strongly about being a labor leader. See, slavery was anti-union and they would have kept that going as long as possible. It was anti-union. They didn't provide a substantial pay increase. When no 8-hour workday, I can tell you that. No. And you went no pension, no vacation, no rest break. Now I can say that because we Black folks, we can say that.
That's right.
People outside the community, they don't get that luxury.
That's right.
The reason why this is so important and why I'm so honored to be here with you, I have a story to tell. And the news media is trying to find things to destroy me because they know that in the state of California, if Local 1000 goes on strike, you won't have a state of California state government. I'm gonna tell you that. And that's why I always knew in my heart, I said, God, if you put me in this position, you created me. You know how I am. You know what I will do. And you know that when people say, well, Richard's a little this and he's a little that. And I said, these people think that I'm the quote, black Trumplican or black Trump because I'm charismatic. And I said, that's funny. And what got me into a hot water was Local 1000 was involved in the social justice issues, which I'm against, because social justice issues may work for some people, but not for other people. And when I said we shouldn't be involved in the Black Lives Matter, I can guarantee you, I'll say African Americans in Local 1000, they looked at me and they rolled their eyes. And I laughed. I said, let these days go long. Let them go long. And they're going to find out that this boy, this black man from Missouri, was truly proud to be African American. But I'm fighting for everyone equally. And it's not the African Americans in Local 1000 that despise me. Some do. It's a small number do, because there's always a small number on the plantation that said, hey, Master's house is burning. We got to do something. No, I ain't got to do anything. So, it was always a small group. Always a small group. But my fight to respect everyone in our union, everyone in our union, regardless of their color, that is what is causing the headache. And so when people say, well, why shouldn't you not be involved in Black Lives Matter? And I said this to them. And this was one of my funniest lines when I was campaigning. If I think, and I believe it in my heart, I know a certain bit of knowledge. I have a certain bit of knowledge about white people. We had an African-American woman president before me, 13 straight years, 4 consecutive elections. She was basically unbeatable. And we reached a situation with the COVID in 2020, and the governor asked us to give up our money. And she agreed. She didn't enforce our contract. Now that was what she decided, along with some leadership on the board of directors. And then she wanted to talk about Black Lives Matter. Here's the one thing I know about white folks. You don't interrupt their money or their children or their vacations. You just agreed to give up white folks money under a signed contract, and now you're talking about Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry. The white people I know, I mean, if you want to have a racial justice conversation with white folks and you're black, have their money and have a lot of it. And when they call, pick up your phone. Now, it sounds silly. If I was David Chappelle, I'd be on Netflix right now, but I'm not. But when I say it, people roll their eyes. But I'm dead serious. Now, look, I'm from Missouri. That's the South. Fair enough. And my, interactions with white people from Missouri, I know a certain bit of knowledge about them. Now, people in California, they may not be the exact same type of white people from Missouri. Fair enough. But here's what I do know. White, Latino, Asian, they want their money. If they were born in America, they're a capitalist. And I don't care if it comes through working for it or the government giving it to them, they want their money. If they came from outside of America, they're pursuing capitalism. They want more money. They want money too. So everybody in this country wants money. When you do a contract, you must enforce your contract. You can't talk about social justice issues without enforcing your contract. You cannot do that. But a lot of people got mad at me when I said that, and they questioned my integrity. Now they say I'm too racial. So I'm a sellout, I'm a black Republican, black angry. I thought black Republicans were always calm, cool, and collective, but I'm black and I'm angry too. I'm too militant. Then I'm told I'm too nice. So I'm confused. And then they tell me I'm suspended. I'm not. But they're trying to make the suspension go through. And now they got to go to court to make the suspension go through. And I'm fighting them. So all this is coming out. And the only thing I can say, I am still proud to be Jenny's child. I am still proud that God blessed me to be the local 1000 president on the third try. I didn't give up. I didn't quit. And I'm still proud to be a citizen of this great country, even though we have some character flaws in our foundation.
I'm going to add in too. You're a patriot. You're a patriot, just like they say apple pie, I'm gonna say sweet potato pie, cheesecake. You the same type of patriot. We all don't have to look alike, sound alike, come from where we come alike, but we from the United States of America and the continent of North America. You are just as American as Benjamin Franklin. And let that be said and known. And he was controversial too. Washington controversial. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot. And the
That's a
news
great point.
itself is controversial because they push and create so many false narratives to make people think things that don't exist, and later they have to come back and retract things, even things they said about, you know, Trump. I know he's the big enemy right now, but he was never impeached. He went through impeachment and he beat them twice, and these are facts. So since you are the Black Trump, you went through 3 times. And you got in on the divine third time because you're supposed to be here. I'm just saying, but continue your stuff.
You know what? When I was campaigning, people said that, you know, my videos were lambastic and bombastic and whatever, and they compared me to President Trump. Let me break this down. If you can win the White House, let me fall back. Okay? Let me fall back. I don't care how much money people put into your coffers to help you win. If you can win that White House, let me fall back. Now, I didn't know that President Trump had a 10-point platform like I did. I didn't know. Maybe he did. And maybe my 10-point platform is why they're calling me so controversial and they're calling me Donald Trump. You know, a 21% pay increase across the board for everyone equally. GOP and COLA for everyone. Term limits. So you don't have all this corruption and cronyism, you know, all that. Being transparent, having a transparent voting election. See, that 10-point platform was so strong, so well written. You would say, well, 10-point platform, oh, you must think you got some 10 commandments. Well, maybe, because we're creating something. We're creating a platform of rules to inspire the impossible. And so when they make these comments about me, and they said things about President Obama, and this is where you catch people being hypocrites.
That's
now
right.
Listen to this. People didn't want to accept President Obama winning 2 straight terms. He ain't my president. Now, hold on. Now, wait a minute. Listen to how I say this. He ain't my president. That's what they say about me. You look at 1000. He ain't my president. But not so much Southern twang. Hold on. Now, when President Trump won, he's not my president. He's not my president. He's not for the members. Now, listen. 2 opposite groups, both complaining about the other.
That's right.
Yeah. And so when I took that great energy of President Obama, of being able to inspire, and I took that tenacity, and when I do this, that means with love and respect and hair grease and la. Okay. Because they'll say I'm trying to hit somebody here, beating up somebody.
I got you.
Okay. So I took the Trump and I took the Barack. And they did a little Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Bunch of numbers. A bunch of numbers I throw out. And they said, you can't get it done. It worked. And here's the thing. Not only are they trying to suspend me and remove me from the union, they're treating me like Trump. Because they're trying to disbar me from re-election. Now listen to this. And I know that half the union are Democrats and the other half are non-Democrats. But this is the hypocrisy. And so when they tried to create this situation back in October to remove me or remove my powers, They did that at the Democratic headquarters in downtown Sacramento. The Democratic headquarters for the state of California, they had this illegal, out of proper meeting to strip me of my powers. This is California. Now, this is Missouri. Hey, that's acceptable. But California? You know, they're trying to do me the way they did the Black Panthers. Remember, they say, you know, Second Amendment, and I'm big Second Amendment. And you know, you can, as long as you have your firearm, you have it licensed correctly, you can walk around. And they did that for California for the longest until a bunch of Richards showed up at the Capitol. And they wrote a Black Panther. They changed those rules. Now, remember a couple years ago, they went up to Michigan to the state capitol with their long rifles. No change to the rules, though. So when these people are talking about me and my controversial ways and my mouth and the things that I say, they don't like the fact that I give it to people. They come to knock my head off. They say all these lies about me. I'm spending money wrongly, in the wrong fashion for the union. Why'd you go up to Lassen County to fight for the people in Lassen County to protect their jobs while they're under a signed contract, Richard? This is what they're asking me. What they're really saying is, why did you, as a Black man, go up there to help those white folks in that small rural town in Lassen County? They don't like you. And they couldn't build prisons fast enough in small rural towns across America when people like you and me back in the 80s was getting turned out. Okay? And so now you built the prison. These people have good jobs. They're raising their families. They belong to a union, and now you want to yank their jobs from them while under a signed contract. And then you get mad at me because I'm trying to fight for their jobs because the media has said, this is social justice, what we're doing. We're letting Tyrone and Pedro out early. You're letting Pedro and Tyrone out early from prison. Probably shouldn't have gone to prison to begin with. But then you send them back to that same community that's all jacked up, full of drugs that they left. So you left the ghetto 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then you go back home, it's still the ghetto.
That's right.
So with that being said, I am controversial because I just call for what it is. Sometimes the Democrats are right. I believe in universal health care. I believe in unions. I strongly believe in unions. But sometimes the Republicans are right. I believe that you should be able to control your body, that your body is your temple. You should have the right to bear arms to protect you and your family. So it appears to me there's some Democrat in me, there's some Republican in me, and then I got too much common sense in me. So I'm a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. I like the fact that you stand 10 toes down, you're firm on your square, and you're not running from the positive and the negative things about you. That shows how well balanced that you are, if I may say that.
And you know why? You know why I'm not running? Forget the fact that I come from good stock, Perkins Brown. Forget that. Forget the fact that I come from a strong Black community. Get all that out your mind. It's the fact those people who voted in this election for Local 1000, who took their time and voted. They didn't run from the vote, they voted. Because they voted, and some of them voted for me, and a lot of them didn't vote for me. But for the position I ran for, people voted. We will respect the vote. Sometimes you win in voting, sometimes you lose in voting. Sometimes your party wins, and sometimes the other party wins. I wish the third or the fourth party would win sometimes. But that ain't how the game goes right now. Respect the vote. So, okay. So thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it.
So I appreciate you, my brother. Before I let you go, please get the people social media. How do we get in contact with you?
So listen, you can get in contact at RL Brown on Facebook. You know, I have an Instagram, Richard to Real 7437 on Instagram. My Twitter, Richard Real 7437. And, you know, since they've taken my legal resources, you know, people are cash apping me. So just text me at 408 207-2339, because we're going to raise money and we're going to fight this evilness that they're trying to bestow on me.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yes.
My good brother, before I go, I'm gonna pour into you and then get you to give me a shout out before we get up out of here, man. I just want to tell you thank you for being there, Moses, being the one to stand in the midst of all of the turmoil and the chaos and things that are going around you, and it seems like your enemy is behind you and the sea is in front of you, and you're looking not to escape as in a cowardly way, but you're looking to find rescue and resource somewhere. And just like the man that you were born to be, you know, the divine figure on the planet, you're standing there and you're holding firm and strong, and you're fighting for the rights and equality of all people that do and don't look like you. That is an amazing and a dope and a super cool, and my terminology, way of living, is that sometimes you're not going to please everybody all the time, but yet, as long as you're standing for what's right, that's all that matters. And in history, like you know, because we discussed it, we will discuss you further as you move in history as being that prototypical Christ, without being blasphemy, disrespectful towards anybody religion, but just being that strong figure to stand in the gap and fight for people, because that's what's right to do. That's not what people feel their best opinion of it is. It's just what's right. No ifs, ands, or buts, black and white, sign the dotted line. And with that being said, my good brother, thank you for this interview this afternoon. And could you please let the people know that you're on My Celebrity Life, and I'm Ge Holla, and we'll get up out of here.
You know what? Ge Holla on My Celebrity Life. I deeply appreciate you giving me the respect and the time to come on your show, My Celebrity Life. Ge Holla. Let me spell this for you, people on Facebook. Capital G, E, Holla. Let me spell that for some people. Capital H, O, L, L, A. Ge Holla. Again, My Celebrity Life. Thank you for your time, sir.
Man, thank you for your time, brother. Stay upon your foundation, you're square. All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah. Take care. Aloha.
All right.